We're going to start this puppy up. Clear, prop.
And welcome back to Tip of the Week. This week we have a member contributed video, which means he came up with a great idea and submitted the video, and that's what we're going to play for you today. This person is Ken Hill, and he's building an Excalibur. And what he's going to show you is a technique for getting water and other contaminants from the bottom of a fuel tank that doesn't have room for a drain down there. So we still need to check and remove that water. Well, he'll explain. Let's take a listen.
Okay, everybody or every pilot knows the importance of keeping water out of the fuel tank. If you don't have a drain at the bottom, you have to come up with something else. On the Excalibur, right underneath the filler cap, there's a little dimple down there, actually a big one, that the water and sediment will settle to, but you need a way to get that out. And this is what I've come up with. It's a 20-inch long piece of half-inch PVC pipe. I have a cap at each end, the hole at each end, and there's a marble inside that came from a spray paint can that seems to be just the right size to work as a check valve. So the way it works is the bottom of the cap is concave, and the marble will roll right over the hole and stop it up. So this is fuel, gasoline, that I just poured in here when I was doing my experiments. It has a little bit of two-stroke oil to give it color. I don't know if you can see the water in here or not. It's all right here in this corner when you tip it over. So what we need to do is get the water from the gas and put it in this jar. So what we do is we put our thumb over the hole and push the siphon tube down to the bottom, and when we release the thumb, give it about 4 or 5 seconds, and it's drawing that water up into the tube. So when you got about 4 or 5 seconds, take it out. You put your thumb over the end of the hole again and put it into a jar, and then tip it to one side. And this is just water that's coming out right now. That's my fuel sample, and it's just water. So if you get water, you're going to do it again. So we're going to try again. Put my thumb over the end, stick it back in, and I can see the water in there, but you wouldn't in the fuel tank. You let your thumb off, give it a few seconds, about 4 or 5 seconds for the water to be drawn up into it, or your fuel sample. Then put your thumb back on. And we're doing the same thing again with the thumb on here. And the check valve, it holds the fuel inside. So when you let your thumb off, the water's coming out. And again, it's not blue, it's just water. So we're going to try again. Normally you would throw this out. So here we go again. Get it where you can see it. As soon as it drains out. Okay, put your thumb over the end of it. Put it down to the bottom. And let it fill up with fuel. Although there's still plenty of water in there. I put quite a bit in for my testing. Okay, and here we go again. Release your thumb, and the water drains into the jar. And again, it's just water. There's very little blue in there. Okay, so let's try again. Put your thumb over the end, put it to the bottom, and when you release the thumb, the water is being sucked into the tube. I had no idea I put so much water in it. Okay, so we're going to put our thumb back over it to hold it inside and release it into our jar. And there's our fuel sample again. And we got even more water out. Normally, you wouldn't want to see this much water in your tank, but this was for testing. So, one more time. Thumb over the end, put it to the bottom, and now we're drawing out the water. And as long as you see water in your jar, like I say, normally you would empty this in an environmentally friendly manner, I'm sure. And there's the water again. But that's about all of it. I can see it in the bottom of the tank, so I'm going to do it one more time just to get a fuel sample. What's great about this is that you can also sump the fuel while it's in the gas can. If you're like me and your plane burns auto fuel and you're bringing it to the airport in a gas can, you can check it for water. You can take a fuel sample before the fuel ever goes into the plane. And that should be good. And we're going to release it. And now you can see the gasoline. I'm finally past the water. There's gasoline floating on top. Now I can look in here and I can see there's no water at all. There's nothing left. But I would do it one more time since you had water in the last one, because you wouldn't see that in your tank. Let your thumb off to let it fill up with fuel this time. Put your thumb back over the top and draw out your fuel sample. And now we're just drawing out gasoline with 2-stroke oil. Now I am going to tell you that there's probably the possibility of static buildup, especially in the winter. So you would want to, the same as you would for getting fuel, you would want to connect a ground wire. We have one here at the hangar that I can connect to the plane. And I also made this as a reminder, connect ground cable and touch here, which is, I'll put this in the metal in front of the gas tank. And it says connect ground cable and touch here before taking fuel sample, just as a reminder to me that there is the possibility of a spark that would blow up the plane, and I'd rather not. It's a lawyer label. So I don't want to be responsible for anybody blowing up their plane. So always connect a ground cable to the plane before you're taking your fuel sample and draw off any static electricity. It's easy to make. If you want to make it better, you can sand off the lettering at the top so your thumb will make a better contact. But I think it's a check ball that does most of the holding of the fuel in there while you're getting your sample. The reason it's 9/64ths is because when I was testing it, I started with the smallest drill bit I had, and I kept working my way up. And when I got to 1/8, it did a great job, but there was still a few drops of water that it couldn't draw out of the bottom because it just couldn't get close enough because it's squared off there. So I went one size bigger, which was 9/64ths, and it did the job. So I quit. 5/30 seconds may do better. I have no idea. I didn't test it any farther than what I have. So I hope this helps everyone. It'll give you a chance to sump your fuel, take a fuel sample, draw out any water and contaminants, and make you a safer pilot.
And there you have it. Thank you, Ken, for that very nice video. And if others of you have tips and can put them on a video like that and send them in, that just might be very useful for a lot of us. Give it some thought. And in the meantime, everybody, back to building.